And I think we are live. We are live. So hello everybody who's here.
Hello.
Say hello.
Probably all ignoring us because it's Father's Day.
Yeah. Oh, I think Donna is here.
Hello,
Donna's
Donna.
here. Joyce
Hi,
is here. Hi, Joyce.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. We'll just give everybody else a few seconds here to catch up. And is everybody celebrating Father's Day in one form or another? We're not. We don't have any fathers. Hi, Jules. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Fidel.
Hi, Fidel, Marilyn, Jules. Yeah, I haven't had a father in a long time.
No, your dad passed away in
1993.
I was going to say it was
about
last
28
century.
years or something like that.
It's been that long?
Yeah.
Jeez. My father's been gone since 2014, and actually that seems like that's what, 7 years ago.
I always find it's weird when I talk to somebody my age and their parents are still alive.
Yeah. Hi, Becky. Becky, Michelle, Melbourne, Florida, Mitchell. Hello. Okay, that's
We Quilt Studio.
that's Lisa,
Oh,
I
Lisa.
think. Yeah, Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Yeah, we forgot all about it being Father's Day today, too. I didn't think about it until I saw some people online, wishing people Happy Father's Day. I forgot all about it. Well, that's what happens when you don't have a father anymore.
Ooh, wow, 58.
58, geez.
That was when I was born.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what... Actually, okay, this sounds really bad, but there is one positive thing about my father not being around anymore, because every Father's Day, we didn't know what to get him. He was an impossible person to buy for. Of course, mind you, Mother's Day is pretty much the same, too. Hi,
Well,
Joyce.
Sorry to hear about that, Cindy.
What's Cindy?
Dad
Oh,
passed.
sorry, Cindy, to hear that. Yeah,
It's always traumatic when that occurs,
yeah.
depending on what kind of relationship you had with your parents.
Well, yeah. Hi, Jay Bovetta?
Vet.
I think you're new. When you're welcome that you are here, or you are welcome to be here. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, rented lips. Marlene's here. Hi, Marlene. Virginia's here. Hi, Virginia. And hi, Andy. So, Andy, did you get my email today? Giving you the particulars about setting up our interview. Can't wait. It'll be fun. Nothing to worry about. Jeannie's not on here yet. Don't see Jeannie yet.
She may be celebrating Father's Day with her son or something.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Okay, well, I think we'll get started because we've got enough people sitting here now. So, happy Father's Day to those of you that have a father or had a father.
Or know a father.
Or know a father. Yeah, whatever on that. And moving right along here, let's talk about Mother.
Oh, wow. Cindy's had some bad luck. Her husband passed last July as well.
Oh, geez, Cindy, this is not a good time for you. Thanks, Marilyn. Yeah. Well, Andy is actually Jeannie's sister. So I'm getting the sisters on here. But anyways, yeah. So let's talk about cheerier things. So my mother, well, I don't know if that's a cheerier thing or not to talk about. But we did have...
Steve's, I didn't make Steve's, but I made mine.
Yeah, mine was store-bought. But Walter said he has to make me another one. I'm running out. Anyway, so we had a care conference with the nursing home staff that my mother is in. And I think I mentioned last week that I was concerned about her mental health and things like that. Well, I had a few surprises that I was not expecting. So we had a teleconference, and I talked to the nurse practitioner and the program supervisor and the people who look after her diet and everything like that. And I found out some very interesting things. Hi, Teresa. First of all, she's physically, with the exception of the arthritis in her hand, she's in very good shape. I did want to see all the medications that she's on because I had a list of them, but I needed to update it. And basically, things haven't really changed. She's getting medication for a hyperactive thyroid. She's been on that for a while. She has a little blood pressure problem. She has medication for that. She has glaucoma, so she gets medication for that. She had something else. It looks like they give her on a regular basis a laxative because she seems to be bunged up a lot. But that's not unusual in my mother's case either. And yeah, all the medication that she's on is what I would have expected, and it seems to be administered properly. The arthritis in her hand, they can't do much about that except she claims she doesn't have any pain with it, but her fingers get really cramped up, and they've been putting some cloth underneath and in between her fingers and that, and applying something to it, I guess, to help loosen them up or whatever. I really don't know what that is. But when I ask her if she has any pain, she says no. So I asked them at the nursing home, does my mother have any pain with this? Hi, Jeannie. And she said, they said no, she doesn't complain, and they check on her like
However,
constantly.
they're giving her Tylenol a couple of times a day.
Yeah, they are. They're giving her, well, no, it wasn't Tylenol, was it? It was
Acetaminophen, which is Tylenol.
Oh, okay, fine. So, I don't know. I suppose that's probably helping with it, but you never know with my mother because that's one thing. She has a high threshold to pain. She always has, and she won't say if she's got a problem or not, like if something's really bothering her. So, but anyways, health-wise, she seems fine. So I asked about her mental state, and I said, my sister, more than me, seems to think that my mother has the early stages of dementia. And I don't think she does. I don't know. It could be her age and also the fact that she's in an institution, and that as far as, knowing the dates and things. But usually when I speak to her, I kind of question her about different things and I get the right answers. So anyways, I asked about that. And they said that she had just had a test. They do it once a year, or more often if they feel they need to, where they check for that, for dementia and things. And she scored a 15 out of 30 on what it was, the test. But the staff member I was talking to said some of the questions they asked, she said she didn't feel were a fair assessment of someone's mental ability. They asked her questions like, did she know what day of the week it was and what day it was and what year it was? And she was able to answer those okay. They asked her if she knew where she was, and she seemed a little confused, what city she was in. And she didn't really have an answer for that. But I said, but could that because she has moved? Recently she's been moved from one place to another place. They're in different towns. And that kind of thing. And she said, yes, that would probably do that as well. And then they asked her to spell the word world backwards, and she couldn't do it. Well, I said to Walter, if you asked me right out of the blue to spell the word world backwards, I'd have to think about it. Like DLROW. But I'd have to think about it. They must give them that particular word maybe because of the combination of letters or something. I don't know in the way the brain works. So she had a 15 out of 30 on this scale, which says that she may have a moderate effect on her mental capacity. But she said she didn't really think, this was the staff person, that it was anything at this point to be worried about, given her age, given where she is, and that kind of thing. So I'm not worried about it. She's 81. She's in an institution. These things play havoc with you. I mean, I have a hard time sometimes remembering what heck the day is and what I did the day before.
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you? I don't know. Where am I? I'm not sure. But I mean, that happens to everybody. I mean, after you retire as well, you're on a totally different time frame. for things. And with COVID on top of it all, I don't know about you people, but I basically measure time by what I'm doing next. If there's something down, like in a week's time, I have this that I'm going to, or something like that. Well, since COVID, we haven't had those kind of markers, have we? So one day does sort of run into the next day as well. So I can only imagine what it's like when you are basically institutionalized, and and you're not seeing anybody on a regular basis. I mean, they keep her going with activities. And that was the other thing I asked her, which I said, so what does my mother do all day? Is she participating in things? Because I know they have a lot of activities there. Hi, Angel. And I expected the answer was, well, no, she pretty much stays in her room all day and stares at the four walls of the TV. No, she doesn't. In fact, seldom do they find her in her room. She's out and about. She's going to activities, and they keep a record of everything that she has been doing. She talks to other people. She socializes with other people. Now, that is a totally different scenario than what she describes for me when I ask her. I ask her every week. I say, Mom, so what have you been up to this week? What are you doing? Oh, nothing. Same old, same old. Nothing ever happens here. So this week when I'm talking to her, I'm going to say, well, Mom, had the care conference, and you seem to be getting out there and about, which is a good thing, and I'm glad that you are. But you never tell me that you are. And she'll probably just give me the standard answer, oh, yeah, I suppose. That's all she'll say. She won't go into it anymore, but I'll let her know that she's actually out there. I don't know if you've ever seen the program Little Britain. But Little Britain has a character on it who's in a wheelchair, and he has his caregiver caters to him, pushes him around, takes him to places, gets him what he wants. And when the caregiver turns his back, the other guy gets up out of the wheelchair and does all kinds of weird things. And at the moment the guy turns back around, he's back in the wheelchair again. It kind of reminds me of what my mother's doing right now, But I was really glad to hear that she's being social and getting around. And they said that they actually found, since she's moved into the new place, that she's a little bit more social and doing more things. So maybe it's the stimulus of being in a new place. I don't know.
It may also be that the layout of the new place is more conducive to
maybe
to being a little bit more social.
Well, everything is close by.
Yeah, I know. So, they have that based on what we've seen in the pictures. That sitting area, right in the area, and then they've got the dining room right off of it. So
yeah.
They might have her in the dining room and then push her over to the sitting area type thing, where they didn't really have that. Everything.
No, everything was
compartmentalized.
Yeah.
In the other place, because the dining room, everybody had one main dining room, and then they put you in other. To get to another area would be a different location. So.
Yeah. Jay says institutionalized is in lockdown all the time unless you have visitors taking you out on the town. Yeah. And you see, we can't take my mother out anywhere because she needs assistance with everything, with eating, the whole bit. So, and that's the other thing I asked them about too, about, was she eating okay? And they said, oh yeah, and she does love her desserts. Yeah, well, that's no surprise. My mother has a sweet tooth. Funny thing was, though, they told me that they have given her utensils because of her arthritis that I think are designed so they're easier for her to pick up and use, and she refuses to use them. And I said, well, is she feeding herself? And they said, oh yeah, she's feeding herself and everything. And I think they cut her food up for her, but that's to be expected. But she's feeding herself, but she just doesn't want to use those other utensils. I don't know why. The only thing I can think of is that maybe my dad had those. We got him some of those, remember, before he went.
Well, maybe she doesn't want to. Yeah, she feels embarrassed to try and use them or something like that.
She could be. I wondered about that, but I'm not concerned. If she doesn't want to use those are fine. But if she's feeding herself and managing, then that's fine. Lisa says your mom sounds like a smart little cookie. Okay. If you mean smart as in
Devious.
and manipulative, that's my mother. Yep. She's a smart little
Well, it
cookie.
could be also that, you know how you had that ergonomic rotary cutter?
Yeah.
And didn't get used to it? Well, maybe she's like that.
Well, that's
that,
a possibility. Yeah, well, my mother won't stick with anything. If it doesn't work immediately the way she thinks it should work, she'll just drop it.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, I'm not using that. So who knows? Marilyn says maybe she's meeting some new friends that she enjoys. Well, I asked her about that. I said, do you recognize other people there? There are people there. I knew there were people there from the old place as well. She says, oh yeah, everybody's here. I know. She knows everybody. So I don't know, but I'm happy about that. That's okay. Because I'm so afraid that she's just going to spend all her time sitting in her room staring at the walls. And so I'm very glad that she's getting out and about with it. And they, at the home, really make an effort to make sure that there's plenty for them to do. And they keep tabs on her. They have a rating scale of 6 for that kind of thing, for socializing and activities. She rated a 5 out of 6. That was a shocker. So,
well, see, it's good that you had that conference then.
Yeah.
Because,
well, I found out a lot of stuff with it all. So anyways, but my mother was always a social person back, when I was growing up as a kid and things like that. My mother was not a wallflower. I mean, she wasn't somebody who like gallivanted from one thing to another thing all over the place, but she had things she belonged to and she went to, and she, at one point, she was a lady who lunched sometimes. She'd go out to lunch with different other ladies and things. She belonged to a card group that met every month, and she did Bible studies at the church, and she was on various committees at the church and things like that. So, yeah, I'm happy that she's involving herself in things, because that's good. That'll keep her brain going. But anyways, yeah, so that was a positive report. And eventually, we'll get into actually be able to physically visit her. We're still doing the FaceTime thing. Although you can do outdoor visits now as well, but I'm holding off on that. Well, we've had our second shot, people. We just got it. We got it on Tuesday? Thursday. We got the second shot. Our first shot was AstraZeneca. This time we got Pfizer, whatever it is.
Pfeiffer.
Well, I don't know. The things with P's. P's and F's. Like, what combination is a P and an F?
It's sort of like a knife. What's a K and an N?
Knife. Everybody knows that's
Pfizer.
knife.
You spell it has PF, and you say it Pfizer. Well, if you have knife,
it's like those sewing machines.
You don't say knife, you say knife. Idiot.
Okay. P and N together.
Or pneumonia.
Pneumonia. Oh, bite me. Teresa says, I wonder if they play Hungry Hippos, like a video on your YouTube seniors playing. Hilarious. So, I don't know. She hasn't mentioned that one. Yeah, so we got our second shot. And we really haven't had any side effects from the second shot.
No, my arm was sore a little bit.
Oh, cry me a river.
I figured we just got water.
Yeah. I'd never seen it so fast, though. We did it through a drugstore. They contacted us, last week to register for it. Said they would let us know when we could come, when we could make the appointment. Well, we made the appointment on Monday? No. We made the appointment on
Monday. They sent me a message. No, wait a minute. Tuesday they sent me a message.
Spell world backwards.
No, Tuesday they sent me a message that said, did I want the AstraZeneca again or did I want Pfizer? So I put in Pfizer. And then Wednesday they sent a message and said, when do you want to book an appointment?
Yeah. And so we booked it on the Wednesday. We booked it for the next day, Thursday. And in we went. And they were dead on, right on their time.
Yeah, we were able to book. I was able to book 12:35 and he got 12:40. So.
And they were right to the minute, right on time. And the woman who did it this time, the pharmacist that did it this time, was different from the first one. And boy, was she good. You sit down in the chair, she's asking you some questions. The next thing you know, bang!
Yeah, while she was asking you a question, she
The
jabbed
shot
it.
was right in and gone or out. I mean, I don't think I was in that room for more than 45 seconds.
Yeah, in and out.
In and out. So that was good. The first one, she
fumbled around. She lost her email.
She lost my email. I had to phone the pharmacy after he got the notice that we could put in for an appointment. I hadn't gotten anything, and that didn't surprise me because he'd gotten things from them before, and for some reason I wasn't getting anything. So I called them and I said, my husband's booking for his shot. I haven't got anything. And they looked and they said, oh. And they said, well, we didn't have your email. That's why. And they said I hadn't put the in. Yes, I had. I had put it in.
They had your email because they contacted you for the first shot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But anyways, we didn't have to dwell on that because they went right to work and right there on the phone. And that was very quick too. So I have to say, I was really surprised at the efficiency of this particular drugstore pharmacy. Because we're hearing all kinds of horror stories right now about people having trouble booking the second shot. They're going through the provincial website to do it, and it's taking them hours or days, and they're getting rejected or spots. So we were really lucky. So anyways, that's done. Teresa, she says, has an appointment on Wednesday for the second shot. Yeah, it is, Marilyn, a good feeling to be double vaxxed. Lisa says, second shot did make me a bit ill. Try not to drink too much the next few days so your body can make lots of good antibodies and not to be too stressed. Drink too much? Wouldn't happen. Who, me? No. Not worried about it. This is medicinal. Yeah. It creates antibodies. Yeah, so anyways, of course, it takes about 3 weeks, they say, after the second shot for you to have the full...
my sister got the second shot yesterday, and she said she was feeling okay today.
Yeah. So anyways, that's good. No side effects, so fine. I mean, we did have slight side effects on the first one. You had more than I did.
I had a really bad chill the first night to the point where I couldn't, no matter what I did, I couldn't get warm for the whole night, and it kept me up the whole night. And the next day I felt kind of dragged out, but that could be because I didn't get any sleep the night before. And but then after that I felt okay, but then I had a couple other little things happen that were kind of weird. I got some bumps here and there that
you have to understand something about Walter. He's a hypochondriac, so say no more.
No, they were weird things that happened. So
yeah, all right, whatever. Bonnie had a drive-through shot done by the pharmacist. She had a sore arm. Well, my arm was a little sore, where they injected it, but
it was actually a little sore the next day more so, but after that, it's fine now. So yeah. Some people have had them earlier than what we didn't qualify for them until what happened was because we had AstraZeneca first. They said that the optimal time for AstraZeneca, if you get a second AstraZeneca, was 12 weeks, and this past Tuesday was 10 weeks for us. So since we weren't getting AstraZeneca again, I figured we were close enough. So and now the Ontario government or the Canadian government has suggested that if you had AstraZeneca for your first shot, it's recommended that you get either a Moderna or a Pfizer as your second shot. Yeah, but the whole thing with the government is they don't know. They keep changing the rules hourly. The day that we went on Thursday to get our shot, at that point in time they were telling us it was recommended to get an AstraZeneca for the second shot, and you could optionally get a Pfizer or a Moderna for your second shot. And then the day after, on Friday, they turned around and said that it was recommended that you got a Pfizer or a Moderna shot. Yeah, so it's you just spin the big wheel on all of it. And the whole AstraZeneca thing, though, seems to be
I think there's more to the AstraZeneca than they're telling us,
Yeah.
because suddenly there doesn't seem to be a lot of AstraZeneca available at all. And they don't talk much about it. Just to say that, yeah, you can have the other two if you already had the AstraZeneca, kind of a thing. So I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'm falling into the conspiracy theory void, but I don't know. I don't think they really know. But anyways, yes, it's a good feeling to have two of them done. However, having said that,
Well, see, the other thing I was saying to my sister today
uh-huh.
is that, sure, you've gotten 2 shots, but how do you know if they're working?
Yeah, true.
You know, like, I mean, it's not like you're going back after so many weeks for a test to see how many antibodies you have,
No.
right? So there's the assumption that if you get 2 shots that you're protected, but is that actually true or not?
Well, they've never said it's not a cure, and this is what I was going to say. There are an awful lot of people that now are running amok here. Oh, I've had 2 shots. I'm perfectly safe. I can't get it. I can't give it. So everything should open up, because we're still not all opened up here in Ontario. We're at what they call step 1, which is very nothing. I guess
Well,
you
there's
can.
still limits to how many people can go into stores, and there's patios have now opened up for that, but hairdressing and everything else, personal services are still closed down. So
Yeah, and everything like that. But now there's this big push.
that's why I still have long hair.
Yeah, because the hairdressers aren't open yet. So, yeah, need a haircut badly. But I can put up with the long hair. I don't think we should open up too soon. The next stage, step 2, if it reaches the level they want all the vaccinations to be at or something, is July the 2nd. That's one day after the Canada Day. Okay, so I see the strategy there, because people seem to, when we just had the May 2-4 weekend, and people don't abide by the rules on that. And July the 1st, that's biggie for Canadians, so they'll all be partying again. So they're trying to keep people contained with this. But they're all bitching and complaining. They want things opened up more. And, the government is probably afraid. If we open it up too soon, and then suddenly, like the Delta variant is the one now that they're watching carefully, because that's the one that seems to be giving the most problems with it all. They open up too soon, and then they have to lock down again. Businesses are going to be bitching left and right about it. So, people want their cake, and they want to be able to eat it too. So I say
I figure
we wait a little longer.
Be a little bit more cautious. So
Yeah, I don't think we can err on the side of caution here. I mean, and then there's the whole border business. Oh, this is just ridiculous. And thank God our Prime Minister and the Americans' president seem to be on the same page on that one. They don't want to open up the border too soon for non-essential. Suddenly people want to come to Canada to vacation. What's that all about?
Like, I mean, we have high first vaccination rates in Canada, but we're still working on catch up to get the second dose vaccination rates. Whereas in the U.S., you don't have as high first dose rates, but you have higher second dose rates. So,
I mean, yeah, it's been a long 15 months, but I don't think we're going to get anywhere near to anything that resembles a normal until the earliest September. And you want to know something? Yes, it's another summer that a lot of people are probably looking at and going down the tubes. There we go. But I think we need to be cautious. I mean, I think it's the only way to go. Virginia says we may need to get boosters down the road. Yeah.
There's that possibility. They haven't decided yet whether that's needed or not. Like, I guess people start getting sick again.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Andy says vaccine's supposed to only reduce the severity of virus if you get sick. Yeah, it's like the flu
keep you out of
shot.
the hospital.
Yeah, it's like the flu shot. It's not a cure, but there are still people out there that are behaving as if they have been cured, that they can't get it, that they're now totally 100% protected. And so they're out partying their brains out again.
It's good to be cautious.
Yeah.
I mean, here everybody's still wearing masks. Nobody
Yep.
nobody complains. Seems to complain about it, from what I can tell.
But I know in some places in the States, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the people doing the podcast had gone out to some bar, and the one guy got out of his car and realized when he got to the door of the bar, he'd forgotten his mask, went back to get it, and the guy at the door says, "You don't need a mask in here anymore. It's fine. You don't need to wear it. We're fine." Yeah, no, I don't think so. Bonnie says, we've reached 75% rate of first vaccination, 20% of second in Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ontario's like 61% and 17%.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But probably has to do with the amount of our population. So.
Yeah. But meanwhile, in Alberta, they're still going with the Calgary Stampede this year. So, now I don't know. I've heard different things about that, though. I think part of it is virtual. I think their parade is going to be virtual for it, and I don't know how they're working the rodeo on that. But that's Alberta. Alberta is just the Texas of Canada, really. But anyway, so yeah, we've got that, and maybe things are looking better, but I still think we need to be cautious with all of that. So, what have you been working on?
Well, I'm taking another class starting tomorrow, and we're going to do a jean jacket. And I cut a million pieces on that jean jacket.
A million pieces?
And I was interfacing all my pieces today.
What is it you can't interface?
And but I'm not actually doing it out of jean material. I'm doing it out of beige cotton twill. So this is a color I'm using. It's this.
Oh, that's the outside?
Yeah.
Oh. How rustic.
Right. Beige cotton twill. And I'm going to be doing top stitching in navy on it.
Oh. Well, that'll be okay.
Yeah. So it'll be a little different than jeans. I just thought, well, I wanted to do the jacket to get accustomed to doing the construction for it, but I didn't really want to do it jeans because I don't tend to wear jeans. I tend to wear cotton twill pants.
To be honest, I'm sure I'm going to get back flack for this, but hello, jeans jackets are so last century and so more appropriate on younger people than people in our age group. I mean, jean jackets just...
Well, it's because one of the girls wanted to do a jeans jacket, but I thought it would be good to learn the construction anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the one I'm making is probably going to be a little bit too big for me, but that's okay.
You can grow into it.
Yeah, so so do that. And also, I cut up material for a shirt today too. So it's a collage of leaves. So I have actually two types of I have this fabric here. I have another one that's just like it, only it's all in grays, which is kind of interesting.
In grays?
Yeah. Leaves that are gray.
Gray leaves, so dead leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to
I
be
like
doing
that fabric, though. That'd make a nice quilt. Why is it every time we go into the quilt store, when we used to be able to go in the quilt store, we both look at the fabrics and now we had to lunge at each other to see who was going to get it. I wanted to make it for a quilt, and you'd want to make it into a shirt.
So that's basically what I'm working on.
Andy says, Walter, where did you get the fabric?
I got it at our local quilt store. I'm not sure what the line is. I can look it up, and if you're interested.
Oh, she says fabric for the jacket, too.
The fabric for the jacket, I got actually at a clearance fabric store that was online called Fabric in Ontario. It's a 10-ounce cotton twill, and I was told that I needed at least something 8 ounce or larger, 8 ounces or heavier, and so I picked this. The big coat I did was a 12-ounce cotton twill, and I found it's really heavy, so I wanted something a bit lighter. So this is a bit lighter. And I think that'll work okay for the jacket. The fabric is just a regular quilting cotton, and it's a line, I can't remember, it's deep in the woods or something like that. I can't remember the
Into the woods.
actual pattern. It's part of a series or something like that.
Teresa says, my theory of fashion is if you've done it once, you're too old to do it again, i.e. bell bottoms. Yeah.
I remember bell bottoms and platform shoes. In fact, I went to my first interview in a 3-piece suit with bell bottoms and 2-inch platform shoes. And I got the job.
I had when I went to church, I had a leisure suit and platform shoes, and they had large flares. That was the 70s.
Yeah, I had a beige leisure suit with big flares, platform shoes, and then I had when I first started working. I first started working when I was 20 in software development, and I had a steel blue 3-piece suit, and I wore black platform shoes to the interview, and I had this putrid green suit with flares, and another putrid brown suit.
I had a green suit
brown
too.
Polyester suit.
Yeah, I had a green polyester suit and I had a brown polyester suit.
Yeah.
And I wore platforms with it. Bonnie says, I love jean jackets. I bling them with machine embroidery. I wear what I want and don't follow any fashion except my own. Love it or just don't look. Well, I'm glad you're not on video,
Well,
Bonnie.
actually, I have a jean jacket. Actually, I don't fit into it, and I tried it on the other day. I don't actually fit into it anymore. But
well, I think everybody's had a jean jacket at least.
but I never
once in
really
their life.
was comfortable wearing. Actually, the only jean type jacket I had was when I was really young. That I really got comfortable wearing was actually a beige cotton twill jean jacket. So maybe that's why I'm making it. It's nostalgia or something.
I can safely say, Bonnie, that I have never worn a bra as a fashion statement. So, oh well, yeah, you're right, Bonnie. Whatever, wear what
Well,
you
you
like.
know what? That's basically the point. I mean, you wear what you're comfortable wearing,
Yeah.
and if you can make it yourself because you can't buy it, then you might as well.
Well, of course, the thing too is wear what you like, and we can get away with it. When you get to a certain age, people just expect you to
Well, actually,
look a certain way.
I don't think that's true anymore. I think people kids probably wear what other kids wear.
Oh, they do.
But I don't know if it's. I mean, you went through the whole thing where kids were breaking out wearing whatever they wanted to wear type. I mean, we always did.
Yeah, but we all dressed the same way in high school.
Yeah.
And except me, because I didn't wear jeans in high school. I wore polyester flared bell-bottom pants, and in the wintertime I wore, remember shrinks? They were the sweater that you pulled over. They didn't have any sleeves. You pull them over your shirt, but they were really short. They only came to the top of your waist.
No, I never wore those.
Well, that's because you're a knob.
I was
high fashion.
Yeah, you were.
I was high fashion.
Knob.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sorry. Look down to little people. Jeannie says, how about the pants worn below the butt? Oh, God, yeah. I call them the penguin wear. Watching those boys try to get up the stairs in a school, and they're tripping over themselves because these pants are right down. I used to say to them, just say no to crack. With it all. Oh, yeah. The number of times we'd walk through the halls, as teachers we were told, we had to tell the kids they couldn't wear hats and inside the school, and they had to have their pants pulled up, and the girls had to have their waists of their shirts pulled down. There was none of this crop top midriff thing hanging out. And of course, what do the kids do? Try to get away with it all the time, especially when the weather got warmer, like in about May into the beginning of June, and school would be hot. Well, then they'd all start wearing shorts, and sometimes, some of those shorts were so short, especially the girls, when they sat down, the shorts disappeared. And that's why I just always said, just say no to crack. Okay, kids?
I mean, geez, when my sisters went to school, they weren't allowed to wear pants. They had to wear skirts.
Yeah, Yeah, well, that's what Teresa says. For
Yeah.
the first year in school, for me, girls weren't allowed to wear pants. Snow pants came off in the cloakroom. Yep, that's right. Yep, they couldn't wear them. But anyway, so that's what you're working on.
Yeah.
So I just finished, I'm showing it tomorrow, and I'll show it on Idiot Quilter.
I grabbed another beer.
I just finished, I have to let Walter out. There. I just finished the mystery quilt. That's with my ex-guild. And I had some problems with that quilt, but it turned out okay. It's kind of wild looking. So that will give me an opportunity to do practice some free motion quilting on it, because I won't really care. It already looks pretty wild. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to start on that maybe tomorrow. Andy says, I've seen kids wearing shorts that were tinier than my underwear. Yeah, I know. I know. But, they're kids. So I've got Mystery Quilt done, and I finished quilting City Lights. I'm going to show that one tomorrow as well. That's the one that has the panel of the cityscape, and it's cut into 4 pieces. And I did a combination. I did free motion quilting on that. I did stippling. And, well, actually, it's halfway between stippling and meandering. And I think it turned out actually pretty good. But as I said, I'll show those tomorrow. And I've been making more pin cushions on my 3D printer. So I made this one. This is Groot. The character that looks like a tree. Baby Groot. With his pins up here. And you're going to love this one. This one's definitely a novelty item. When you feel your sewing is just real crappy, you may want to use this as a pin cushion. It's a toilet. I thought that was kind of fun. So that's why I made that too. But anyways, yeah, I'm making all these pin cushions. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. In fact, today I spent most of the day looking for more 3D models of different things that could be potentially turned into pin cushions, and some other items as well on there. So a whole lot of sewing and quilting things I found today. I went through hundreds of different things. So, but anyways, that's all I've been up to. And I'm still working on, and I downloaded another embroidery pattern series. It had cute sayings that you were supposed to make them into garden flags. Well, I don't like garden flags, but I like the sayings, so I got the set. And one of the ones that I embroidered says, I wet my plants. Sometimes I wet my plants. They're all like that sort of pun kind of thing. I think they're kind of funny. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but they're funny. Thanks, Jeannie. If you were closer, I could get you one. Okay, so what else are we going to talk about? Okay, just before I go on, I'm glad Andy is on here, and Teresa. I just did an interview with Teresa, and that'll be coming out next week. And it was a great interview. Thank you very much for that, Teresa. And I have finally talked Andy into doing an interview. So, Teresa, you can tell Andy that I didn't bite, and it was a positive thing for you. I strongly recommend that you tell her that, Teresa. Get my drift? Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. Say no more. But I need more people. Now, Bonnie, I sent you an email asking to interview you, and I haven't heard anything back, Bonnie. So I would like to. And there's others of you on here too that I would like to interview. So stop being shy with me. Drop me an email. I will send you the questions. You play with the questions. We set up a mutual time, and away we go. Otherwise, this is going to be a short-lived series, because after next week, after Andy's goes up, the week after, actually, Teresa's this week coming, then it'll be Andy. I'm out of interviews, so I need more interviews. Okay, so just saying, don't make me interview myself, or worse, Walter. Yeah, check your emails, Bonnie. But even if you can't find it, Bonnie, just send me an email. email address is in the show notes. Yeah, Teresa, you tell her. And that goes for the rest of you too. Okay, so that takes us down to the main theme today. Last week we talked about, because this is Pride Month, we talked about the coming out stories. And I talked about my coming out story, and now it's Walter's turn, because Walter didn't feel he could do his in 5 minutes or less, which he can't. So, you're on. Let's hear all about your coming out story.
Okay, well, I'll probably start at the beginning.
That would be a good place, really. Once upon
when
a time.
when you come out, you gotta first realize what your sexual orientation is. So it took me a while. I mean, probably the first time I remember realizing it was when I was 8. And I realized I was attracted to my sister's boyfriend. And I didn't know what it was at the time. It just sort of like, it was a weird feeling. Probably the feeling that you're supposed to have when you see a woman, right? But anyway, so at the time, I just sort of buried it and figured that it was something that I wasn't supposed to be feeling and that I would grow out of it. And so I sort of buried it somewhere in my recollections. That's all I remember. And it wasn't like my parents were nasty towards gay people or anything. It was more, yeah, they were actually kind of nasty towards gay people. They weren't really, they just sort of said, acknowledged it as, see, my parents were Dutch, and they would say it in Dutch. They said, oh, that person was from what they would call the verkeerde kant.
The what, the who?
The verkeerde kant.
That sounds dirty.
Which sounded like, which was, they're from the wrong side. Right? They're from the wrong side. And there was a couple of people my parents would visit, and they had a son that was fairly flamboyant. And they would always talk about him behind his back, as like he was
a Flunkenkunter.
He was a flaming whatever, right? So anyway, so that's where I got my negative viewpoints from, is from my parents. So I had a feeling in myself that I shouldn't be this way. So I held it back. And then, of course, when you get older, it becomes more intense when you hit puberty and things like that. So as time progressed, I kept holding back, and I would try to date women, and that didn't seem to work out for me. And I had a few good little girlfriends through high school, and I probably kept trying to date until I was about, your latest I can think was about 23 or something, was the last time I sort of tried to date a woman. So, but all along I tried to suppress it, and because I didn't think I should be that way, type of thing. And though over the years I sort of got more intrigued as to when I saw other gay people and their lifestyle, and I was a little bit more intrigued in them. What you finally have to do is you have to come to terms with it, that this is the way you are and it's not going to change, right? So I at that point in time, I started looking around to see if I could meet somebody else like me. And
there's nobody like you.
No. So actually, I wasn't very successful at trying to meet somebody else like me, so I ended up I married.
Carry on.
Anyway, anyway, so I went and I would scour the newspapers, and I finally ended up meeting Steve. Steve's my first man.
And always will be.
Anyway, so but you know, during that process, I kept things pretty much underground. Nobody knew. I shared an apartment with a straight guy for a whole year. But you know, I never told anybody how I felt about anything. until after I met Steve. I had pretty much figured out that this is how it's going to be, right? So I ended up. Steve and I just ended up hanging around and becoming really good friends and stuff, and we ended up we ended up in a relationship, obviously, but during that time, coming out to other people became more of an issue for me, because although I felt I was gay, I wasn't able to. I had a harder time expressing it to other people. So when I was after I met Steve, and that was it. Some of the closest friends I had, I came out to, and with mixed results. Some friends said, "Okay, fine," and other friends ended up. I lost friends, like they didn't want anything to do with me, type of thing. And some friends said they were okay with it, but then a few years later, I ended up losing them anyway because they became fundamentally religious or something like that, and then they sort of dropped off the face of the earth because they couldn't figure out why I continued to live this lifestyle. So, so I was always pretty quiet about being gay. And even as I was with Steve, I still didn't come out to my parents for a long time because I was uncomfortable with that idea. So I had a house when I met Steve, and we after a couple of years we decided to move in together, and I sold my house and moved in with the joint house with Steve. But even then, I didn't tell my parents that I was gay. So it took me quite a while to do that. I actually waited till after my dad passed away, and then I told my mom. Actually, during Ellen's coming
yes.
out, I sort of blurted it out, and then my mother always kind of suspected or knew, but she didn't want to ask because she didn't really want to know for sure. And then when I blurted that out to her, she went into sort of denial during that period of time, where every once in a while it would come up and she would say, well, see somebody on TV that was flamboyant and say, well, you don't act like that, so why are you gay? Right? So she assumed that everybody that was gay was flamboyant, and that if you were a masculine, or if you didn't fit the stereotype, then you couldn't possibly be gay. But it took her a while, but she eventually came around and got used to the idea. One of my sisters was pretty belligerent about it.
Yeah. She's dead now. Good.
She would, whenever she picked a fight with me, she'd call Steve Stephanie. Mm-hmm. And that was not particularly good.
Bad name for her, too. Bitch.
And then my other sister, the one that, actually I have a sister that's still alive that's turned 71 today. It was her birthday. And we have a good relationship right now. But when I told her I was gay, she didn't like it. She didn't like the fact that it was gay. But actually, it was her kids that changed their mind.
Yeah,
changed her mind. They said, "What's the big deal?" type of thing. And she later on said, "What's the big deal?" It took her a little while to come around. And actually, when we got married in 2005, she was actually okay with it, and she's called Steve my brother-in-law and stuff like that. So that's good. But even at work, I had a hard time coming out, because when I worked originally, I worked at a job in Toronto, and nobody at that work knew that I was gay, and I was uncomfortable saying that to them, because I didn't think people really needed to know what my sexual orientation was. It was on a need-to-know basis, and they didn't need to know. So it wasn't until I started working for the place that retired from, slowly over the years I became more out there. I never was really to the point where I told everyone. I told my closest friends there, and everybody else I didn't bother because I didn't think they really needed to know what my orientation was.
No.
So
It's on a need to know basis.
I was uncomfortable with it for a long period of time, and to the point like up until just a couple of years ago, that I finally got to the point where it didn't bother me as much anymore. I didn't like the idea that people thought bad of me or something because of it or something.
Well, nobody likes to be.
And so I even was self-conscious when we would go grocery shopping at the grocery store, and then you'd see people kind of look at you kind of weird because you were two guys shopping together.
Yeah.
But then I got to the point where, like, screw you. If you have a problem with it, then that's your problem, not mine. So
And now that's.
and now
I don't think people
and
have
now
a
I
problem
get to
with
the
that.
problem. Yeah, now I don't really care. So I sometimes laugh when I go into a bank or something like that, and occasionally they assume that you're automatically married to a woman, and you say no. You correct them,
Yeah.
and then they get all apologetic on you and stuff like that. So the coming out process for me is really still happening, though not so much as it was.
Yeah,
You
well,
know.
the coming out process is a lifelong process, as I said last week too. Depending on the environment where you are, the people that are there, you have to pick what you are going to say and what you won't say. And you were saying that you didn't want people to feel have negative feelings towards you because we're gay. And yes, that's something that all gay people have to eventually get over with that. But I think everybody needs to get over the fact that you can't always be liked by everybody in the population no matter what. Whether you're gay, you're straight, or anything in between, it doesn't matter. And other people's opinions like that really don't matter. And that's why so many people have so many problems today with like Facebook and that, because they're trying to live up to a standard that really isn't. Well, the term now they're saying, you hear this all the time, is living your truth. And there's much to be said for that kind of statement. What were you
However, I mean, we are still aware that like there's a lot of places in the world that isn't well accepted. So
when we travel,
if you go to a place that isn't well accepted, then you keep a low profile.
Yeah, you don't ask for trouble. And so there's a difference between living your truth, but also being a fool. I mean, I'm not going to go into Egypt and announce in big like, this is my husband, I'm gay, yay, because it is a crime to be gay in Egypt, and it's a death penalty as well in there. So you're not going to say things like that. We had a couple of friends years ago that were just going into the States. And, you get, when you cross the border from Canada and the United States, of course, they ask you questions. And for some reason, they turned around and told them that they were gay. Well, at that point in time, this is quite a few years ago, the States were not yet, like, they didn't have equal marriage. We didn't have it at that point in time either here. And that. So you didn't do that kind of thing, because a border guard, he's got the power to refuse you entry on whatever grounds he wants to. And at that time, being gay was considered being a deviant. And border guards don't have to let in deviants into their country.
Well, actually, I remember a long time ago, this was in 1989, traveling to the U.S., and on your card that you filled in when you went across to the U.S., it said right on there, "Are you a sexual deviant?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, how many
people answer that one?
people-
Yes, I am. I'm a sexual deviant.
So you had to you had to live through that sort of thing. So I tended to be cautious, and you just play it by the rules. And the other thing is, it's like you get into some areas, you don't know how people react in different areas. So I mean, Steve and I are very demonstrative to each other, but I have seen people that are, are huggy, kissy.
Well, some of them do it though, not so much because they are demonstrative. They do it as a look at us. I dare you to get in our face over this. And I always say, pick the mountain you want to die on. Which means that there are certain issues or certain things that aren't worth putting up a battle for. There is still gay bashing that happens in the world. You hear about it on the news.
In fact, it happened recently in Toronto.
Yeah.
Where a young man was, a 24-year-old young man, was leaving an area on one of the Toronto Islands that is known for a gay area. And he was badly beaten by another 24-year-old man to the point where he could have died. And
well, I'm just going to say it, whether people will think this is racist or not, but the guy that beat this guy up is a Jamaican background. And the last place I would go on the face of this planet is to Jamaica, because if they find out you're gay, they will take you and beat the crap out of you, if not leave you for dead as well. I have very little respect for that kind of mentality, and unfortunately that does reflect upon their society because they get away with it. Well, luckily they've caught this guy. He's not going to get away with it in this country. Simple as that. And I'm sorry if that sounds racist, but that is what we have experienced. So what people saying here? Bonnie says, be proud of who you are, Walter. From a person who always has had self-confidence issues, I'm learning to love myself. Adult bullies, Lisa says, are so prevalent. They bully anyone who's not like them, especially if they have a like majority in the room. It is also sad. I'm so sorry that you both had to go through such BS. But you want to know something, Lisa? Yes, it's a rite of passage for gay people. We did have to go through that BS, and I'm glad that I had to go through that BS because, as I said last week, that opened my eyes up to a wider issue that goes beyond being part of the gay community.
I had my first house that I had where I lived alone. Steve started visiting more often when I was going out with him, and I had my house egged several times. And then we moved into a house together, and we had that house egged, and we had water balloons thrown at the house.
Oh, you also had one other thing thrown at it.
What?
Dog poopy on the first one. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but
and even in the house that we're living in now, we had some harassment from. Remember, somebody was partying and left beer bottles on my car and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. So I mean, we haven't had problems. We haven't had the problems that some people have had, but mainly because we live a quiet life in some ways. I mean, we don't flaunt, and Walter used a term I do not like. He called it a lifestyle, and that is a term that's used by a lot of the straight community for the gay community. We are not living a lifestyle. A lifestyle says that you picked this, that you consciously decided to shape your life around a certain way of living. We did not. It's not a lifestyle. It's just our life. So I hate that term.
Well, that's it, Bonnie. Our house was egged because Steve was a teacher.
Well, that might have been it too. Who knows? Yeah, probably. That might be more it.
We just assumed that was the other thing.
And Marilyn says, every one of us are worthy of love. Yes. And Teresa says, I agree that there comes a time in life that you don't live for what other people think. I went through that when I consciously became a single parent. People judge too bad for them.
Yeah, actually, that's saying too. Like, I mean, you don't live your life the way other people think you should live your life. Yeah. Like you said, being a single parent. That's another one where you know your people judge you for being a single parent. Why should they?
Yeah, and that's when you said about going through the BS. Well, that's what makes you open your eyes up to other what other people's lives are like. Like, what do people go through as a single parent? What do people go through if they're from a certain culture or racial background or something like that? It does open your mind up. That doesn't mean to say that within the gay community there aren't bigots and racist people, because every group has those people in it as well, and the gay community is not that much different. But the one thing about being in the gay community is you do have maybe a little bit more empathy for other groups for what they're going through. Um, you know, so that brings me to the whole thing, though, here too, is about outing somebody. Now, we've talked about outing ourselves, meaning we're coming out. But now in our society, there are people out there who make it a mission for them to help other gay people or make gay people to come out. Usually these are actually, this is not necessarily negative in terms that these people are doing it to hurt these people, but they think they're being friends. They're being what we call allies. And so they tend to unknowingly out somebody when they're not ready to come out. And that is a no-no. Even in the gay community, we do not out another gay or lesbian or bi or transgendered person at all, because that is a personal decision and everybody has to make that decision for themselves. That can cause a lot of problems for someone emotionally if somebody else outs them. And if you remember my story last week, I was saying I was sitting in a bar with some fellow teachers and they were speculating on one of the new teachers in the department, whether or not he was gay. And that was what I was leaning towards. I was almost outing this person, even though I wasn't even sure or not. And that's when I stopped. I realized, no, that's not my right. I can't do that. That's being hypocritical. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. But, you know, and we've been in situations where some people have said, and this hasn't happened in a long, long time, but, you know, oh, these are the gay guys. And you kind of, how do you answer to that? In a room full of people you don't know. And being me, I just have a tendency to make a joke out of it and go, that's right, we're here to redecorate. Oh my God, what you're wearing is just appalling. We can remake you. Oh, those curtains, what were you thinking? Yeah, we can camp if we have to. But, you know, that's not right. So, the one question that comes up all the time among straight people is because it makes them uncomfortable, not because they don't want to be supportive, but they're afraid they'll say the wrong thing with gay people. They don't want to offend them. And so how, you know, the question is, how should you react as a straight person when somebody comes out to you? Well, the first thing you don't do is go pale, put your hand to your mouth and go, oh my God! No, that doesn't go over really well. And you might think I'm exaggerating. I am a little bit, but I've seen it happen. You know, and that just makes the gay person feel really bad about themselves.
Yeah, especially when you say, oh, you're not one of them.
Oh, things you should not say. That's okay, we like you anyways. No, because that right there, and that's simple. And what they're trying to be is be supportive, okay? But they're not thinking about what they said. By saying, well, we like you anyways, means that, well, we don't see you as being equal to us, but that's okay, we'll tolerate you. No, and that's the other thing. Tolerance. We're not looking for tolerance. We're looking for acceptance. And we're not even looking for acceptance because we're not, to be accepted by somebody else because we're gay suggests that we find ourselves inferior and we're hoping you'll let us into the club, that you won't hate us too much. So we're not looking for either one. We're not looking for acceptance or tolerance. We're looking for neutrality, to say the least. We don't want you shooting off cannons and going, oh great, you're gay, yay, 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 and then to say, yes, we'll march with you in the gay parade, you know, in the pride parade. No. We just want you to treat us the way you have always treated us.
or treated anyone.
Like, and when I'm saying, I'm talking about friends. I'm not talking about people that are acquaintances or people that you don't really consider friends.
Yeah.
Friends, their opinions don't matter. Your friends' opinions do matter. But if they're going to go negative on you, they weren't your friend in the first place. So, what are people saying here? Fidel says, come to Puerto Vallarta. They have fun.
Yeah.
Yes, we know that's the gay Riviera. Yes, Bonnie, society is so judgmental, but it's judgmental not just in the gay world, everywhere, like it on all kinds of issues. Hi, Nancy. Andy says, when a friend of mine told me he was gay, I said, and your point in telling me that would be, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Because then I think if you said that to me, I think I would say, well, I just thought maybe you should know. And then what you should say is, well, I really feel honored that you feel that this is something you wanted to share with me. I think that's the way to put a positive spin on that. I mean, yes, it's very difficult, especially if you're taken off guard.
Like, I mean, I never really advertised that work or told them, well, I'm not advertised. I never really
Right,
went out of my way to tell people I was
wear
gay
a pride flag to
But
work.
if something came up, like if somebody said to me, oh, you never really told me whether you were married or not, or whatever, right? And I would then tell them what my situation was, that it was with Steve and stuff like that. And most people were pretty good. Like they were saying, oh, okay. I didn't realize that you weren't married, or I didn't realize there's something, or that you were, like they would usually pretty much, okay, I didn't realize your situation.
But there will be a moment of awkwardness on both sides, because now both sides are afraid of saying something that's going to offend the other side. Because on the gay side, after you tell them that, and there's that moment that there's a pause, you really feel like, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Maybe this is, I've put them in an awkward situation now. Or on their side, it may be, now I got to be careful what I say. I better not. I was going to tell this great gay joke. And, And actually, you want to know something? As far as we're concerned, we love gay jokes.
Yeah, as long as they're not in bad taste.
Yeah, well, most jokes are in bad taste. But, I mean, yeah. I
meant jokes about AIDS or something.
Well, yeah, stuff like that. Well, you wouldn't tell, like we tell Newfie jokes, and probably most of those jokes were created by the Newfoundlanders anyways. But, I mean, if they're delivered, if things are delivered in a spirit of supportiveness, in comradeship, in
like
friendships.
Jokes?
Well, those are just blonde jokes. I don't know. But whatever. People get really too uptight that they're going to offend others. Now, I'll give you an idea about what I mean by this, given the current trend with transgendered people. I'm always afraid I'm going to offend a transgendered person. Because, one, I'm going to use the wrong pronouns. Okay, that's a big thing now. Transgendered people are supposed to identify, or you're supposed to, the right thing to do now accordingly is to ask them what pronouns they go by. And they will tell you whether it's he or she or, them or whatever. And then you have all kinds of questions in your head, too, about transgender. Okay? I certainly do.
I mean, there was a guy I used to work with that ended up being, that I found out later on he was transgendered. And I emailed him for a bit, and he told me some interesting stuff that I was curious about. But I was asking, said I don't want to offend you, but I just wanted to know some questions. So.
And in most cases, if you coach it in the way that, so people know that you are positively asking because they want to know, then I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with somebody asking me a question right out. But one question you do not ask a gay couple or lesbian couple, okay? Which one's the woman, which one's the man? That will get my dander up if I hear that one, because there's a stereotype in that. And obviously, when people ask that question, they are not worthy of me coming out and answering any more questions for them at that point, because they're ignorant. Ignorant meaning they don't know what's going on. They haven't got a clue and they don't want to know, because that's a stereotype.
Well, then they decided to do subtle questions like, who does the cooking? Who does the wash?
Whoever wants to. You always lean towards whatever your talent is or what you like with that. But the point there is, would you, when you first meet a straight couple, would you walk up to them and go, so which one of you plays the woman, which one of you plays the man? No, you wouldn't ask that. So why are you asking a gay couple that kind of question? So those are things not to say. So how do you become an ally? An ally is somebody who supports the gay community. Well, it's easy. It's the same way as you would support anybody that's your friend. How do you support your friend? You may not agree with everything that's going on within the gay community or with that particular gay couple or with that gay person. You don't have to agree. I mean, we don't all agree about what other people are doing. Like, I may not agree with the politics of a friend or their religious belief, but they're my friend. I'm their ally. I support them until it gets to the point where they might step over a line and I can't, or a line that I have drawn and I can't support them. And if that's the case, I don't turn around and exclude them as my friend. Because of that, I just have to accept the fact that, yeah, we're going to disagree. So, that old expression, agree to disagree. But we're not going to make it into a major mountain here with that kind of thing. Unless it's something so severe that, like they decide they want to go out on a killing rampage, there might be a problem with that. So, that's how you be an ally. You just be supportive like you would with any friend. And if you can't be supportive, then you have to question the friendship and you might have to distance yourself from it or move out of it.
Bonnie, yep, people would ask that question.
What's that?
About who plays the man, who plays the woman.
Oh, yeah. We've been asked that many times.
And the other one is who's the top and who's the bottom.
Oh, yeah, well, that's, yeah. Well, okay. We're a mature group here. I have the button click that says this is not appropriate for children. But yeah, that's the other question. Who's the top? Who's the bottom? Well, you want to know something? That's definitely a sexual question. And I don't walk up to people, to straight couples, and ask about what they do in the bedroom. Thinking people don't. But you want to know something? Sometimes people in the straight world, the ones that you aren't going to be friends with, okay? This is tough. They're the ones that will ask those kind of questions. And you just walk away and say, what an ignorant, and that's mildly put, those people. But they feel that they have the right to ask you those kind of questions. No, you don't. You don't have the right to ask anybody, any shape, size, or form, or whatever they are, to ask those kind of questions. You don't ask those kind of things in polite society. That's just crazy. Thanks, Marilyn. Yeah, exactly, Jeannie. No one should ask anyone about the sex life. It's nobody's business. Yeah, it's not. Bonnie says, sorry, don't often say that, but this deserves it. Oh, yeah, exactly. We usually walk away from those conversations with it.
Of course, that was the same bigot that asked me about the people I worked with in a multicultural setting too.
Oh, yeah, the same kind of thing, yeah. Well, we don't need to get into that. But anyways, that's what it's like to come out. As we said, it's an ongoing thing. It's easier, at least in Canadian society, I think, now for younger people to come out because we have put in place in our society things that protect the LGBTQ community and human rights in general. Educators are much more educated about the whole thing. They know what they can do and what they can't say. There are institutions or there are what do you call them? Support groups that are instilled in our society at all levels, in government agencies, in the school system. As I told you, I started and operated a GSA, a Gay Straight Alliance, and there's usually one in every high school. And they're starting to be held in elementary schools now across Canada. Even religious groups have instilled in that. The Catholics not so much. They're working on it. But, most other religious groups have something in place to support LGBTQ members.
You would think so, Bonnie, but still, there's problems.
Yeah, actually, in the last few years in Toronto, that whole multicultural thing is unfortunately becoming more of a myth. I don't know why, but
I worked in a very multicultural job in Pickering that had a lot of people that came from Toronto and a lot of people that came from outlying areas. And actually, we worked well together. It wasn't a big deal in that, but we were in an office setting. And if you're in an office setting, you've got people that have more, or a little bit more intellectual type of thing. When you get into probably the rougher areas, I guess it can still be a big problem.
Yeah. And actually, you don't have to go that far out of the area we live in, where people will still have some very backwards attitudes towards anybody that they see as being different. And whether that involves being LGBTQ or whether it's a certain racial or religious background.
You get into the more rural areas of Ontario or rural areas out west or something like that, I think there's a lot more issues.
Yeah, you'll see more rednecks out of that. But then that's probably, you can say that about anything. Once you're outside of the cities, the large cities, things tend to be a little bit more redneckish in places. That's not to say every place is, but there's more of an attitude towards that. I mean, I have to admit that when we go to a smaller community, for one reason or another, not that we play it up, but we are a little bit more cautious about what we say that might identify us with the gay community. Bonnie says, Fredericton was the gay capital of Canada for a long time. It didn't seem to be an issue here. I could be wrong, though.
I thought that was Halifax.
Yeah, I thought Halifax is more of that out there. At least, well, it's been a long time since we've been to the East Coast, but I mean, just to give you an example, way back in the 80s, when we went out to the East Coast, we would look in the phone book, because in those days there was no internet, and look for where the gay clubs or restaurants were.
For the homophiles.
We'd have to look up under Homophile Society. And everything in the yellow pages or in the directory would point to Halifax. It'd say, see Halifax. But that was in the early 80s, so I'm sure things have changed a lot since then. Teresa says, we recently had an eye-opener in London with a person who killed a family just because, it's amazing how well the city can support them. Yeah, exactly. We know what you're talking about, Teresa. I mean, all Canadians have to know about that. That's just crazy. And this is stuff, though, that is happening more in our country, which is not something... We're proud of ourselves as Canadians that these kind of things didn't happen in Canada, but they're starting to happen in Canada. Bonnie says, gay capital of Canada is not my words. Oh, I'm not sure now, but it was when we moved here in the 80s. Okay. Well, we were in Fredericton. We only found one little restaurant, and it wasn't that gay. But I don't know. But in those days, that was the 80s. That was like, we were young and foolish anyway, so who knows? Whatever. Actually, the gay community in Toronto is dying. In the gay area there. It's been dying now for the last 10 years, or maybe actually since about the late 90s. But anyways, so next week we thought we would talk about something even more serious. Um, you may or may not be interested in this, but we thought we would talk about the AIDS epidemic. But we're going to talk about it more from our personal points of view as to how it affected us and what we knew of it back in the 80s, and then how that has all changed up to our time now. There are a lot of parallels actually between the AIDS epidemic and what we're going through right now with COVID, but there's there are some major differences for sure between the two. So we thought we would talk a little bit about that next week as well as all our other general chit chat and things like that. Now, I do want to address just a couple of things here. I want to go back to Fidel. I hope he's still here. I want to interview you. You don't have to worry about your accent. That is not a problem. And what I've said to everybody, you don't need to be shy. You know who I am, Fidel. It's just you and I. That's all it is. Of course, it goes up on the internet. But don't worry. But I think you would be a fascinating interview person. So, Fidel, really, seriously, consider it. Marilyn says, what do you think is happening in the gay community in Toronto? Well, we're going to save that, Marilyn, for next week, because actually how the gay community has changed over the years is also tied in with the AIDS epidemic.
Well, yeah, actually, it's the gay communities in probably most cities have changed a lot over the years.
But I want Marilyn to save that question for next week, because that's a good question, but it's one that's going to take more than 3 minutes to really discuss. So we'll discuss that maybe next week as well. Okay, so Marilyn, please remember to bring that up in case I forget. I will write it down for next week, but we'll talk more about it then. Okay, it's time to go, and glad you're all here, and I hope...
Yeah, have a happy Father's Day.
Yeah, have a happy Father's Day for those of you that are fathers or have fathers or are celebrating it or whatever with it all. So, vlog will be up tomorrow. Idiot Quilter on Tuesday. So Chatty will be again. Good. Okay. Fidel, send me an email so I have your email address and I will send you all the particulars and give you more details. Yes, I want to interview you, Fidel. Thanks, people, for working on him. Okay. So, having said all that, we're going to go. Have a good one. What's left of today. We'll see you all next week, if not sooner. Bye for now. Say goodbye, Walter.
Bye.